what I have found in the entrepreneur space is that nobody knows what they're doing. So after hearing your talk today, I have a couple questions, but I think your delivery will probably answer a lot of questions, if at a minimum pique interest to people that have never worked in the corporate space and think they know what they're doing.
I mean, Laughlin's a company I bought.
Got it. Okay.
I've been buying companies for years.
Having the ability to wake up and smile. Yeah, I get some of you guys do it all the time. I don't. I have people around the world now that are depending on me for them to grow and get to where they need to go. What I do on this earth, it ain't about me. It's about the hearts and souls that do not have the ability to do it on their own.
Welcome to Think, React, Lead. My name is Dom Faussette, and I have the fortunate pleasure of sitting here to introduce to you Aaron Scott Young. Now, Aaron Scott Young is the CEO of Laughlin Associates. He's also been previewed on Forbes, CBS, Entrepreneur Magazine.
Oh my gosh.
ABC, CNN.
Everything with initials.
Inc. Exactly. All the alphabets. All of the fun things. He is also the creator of the Unshackled.
You're doing well.
I am
Unshackled
owner program. There we are.
There we are.
Yeah. Unshackled Owner Program.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why I've asked Aaron Scott Young to come on here. He provided tons of information during a facilitation he did here at CEO Space. And to all of the entrepreneurs, we're going to ask a couple questions and really kind of get the insight of who you are.
Sure.
And then I'll have a couple questions, and then we'll just take it from there.
Great.
All right. Who is Aaron Scott Young?
From strictly business, I got to start with the truth. First thing is, I've been blissfully happily married for 31 years.
Congratulations.
I'm a dad of 4 kids. I've got 3 grandchildren with 1 on the way.
Wow.
And I'm a lifetime entrepreneur. Almost 36 years now buying and selling companies and starting some companies.
You said 36 years.
Yeah.
When you start in kindergarten?
No, I started right before my 19th birthday.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, my first company with payroll, with real employees on payroll.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and that was the first recycling business in Portland, Oregon. And so we did that. I was one of the first guys in cellular back in 1986.
Okay.
We spread out all over the Northwest. I did take one job from 93 to 96, starting in my 20s, vice president of sales for a very large, big board NASDAQ multinational. And so I can't believe they put that 29-year-old kid in the corner office, but they did. And I did that for 3 years, and I needed to get back out and be entrepreneurial again, and went out and started really primarily buying companies.
Okay. Successful. You've had a good run. One of the things that I saw.
I've been like a lot of us.
Right.
I have a tendency to fail forward.
Okay.
But we all struggle. We all have good years and bad years. We make good decisions and bad. So nobody gets out of that.
Very true.
If you're everybody that's successful can tell you their horror stories. We think of Richard Branson and all the companies, but he's had tons of companies fail. Tons.
One foot in front of the other.
Yeah,
Action.
but you primarily though, if you have a formula, if you know what you're doing, you can figure out quickly when to stop.
Right.
Right. There's that old Turkish proverb: no matter how far you go down the wrong road, turn back. And so the good news is after you get a little bit of experience, even when you jump into something that maybe is not the best thing to be doing, you can identify it quickly. And so I've definitely had my share of things that didn't work, but we've had a lot of things that did.
No overnight success. You learned a lot.
There's no magic pixie dust.
Okay.
No, there's work, and there's learning, and there's collaboration, and there's learning a process to follow. And that process will save you a tremendous amount of time if you're a serial entrepreneur.
Of course.
Now, if you're going to just open your store or your pizza shop or whatever, and you are anxious to have that 40 years in business, and you're still back there throwing the pizza dough, good. You don't need. All you need to do is know how to be a great pizza shop owner.
To each his own.
But if you want to do what most of us do, which is take on lots of projects, there is a way to do it, and there's a sequence, and there's also. I don't believe you should do a lot of things at once. I think you should do one till it's working very, very well, like a Swiss watch. And then once that one's working great, then you can have the permission to do the second one.
Given your experience and where we're at today in this world of people just jumping into the entrepreneur space and following this guise of hustle and grind, what are some things that entrepreneurs are doing today that they could better or that are doing them a disservice as it relates to running an actual business?
Well, first of all, a lot of people who say they're in business are not, they're self-employed.
Okay.
They don't have a business. A business is something that has a team, and it works even when you're not there. A real business is, you may be doing something in the business.
Right.
Remember, okay, hold on. I'm going to answer your question.
Of course.
But remember this, there's ownership of a thing. Mm-hmm. So like you are the shareholder or you're the member of the LLC. Okay. Ownership is not anything to do with running the business. The second piece is there's got to be a board of directors guidance for that company. And so you may be the only board member, and that's where you're looking out into the future. And then there's the employee job. And that's what most of us are doing in the business. Most of us are doing the work of the employee.
Understood.
And if you're self-employed, you just, as Sharon Lecter was saying today from the room, you just own the job. And she said it because she and Robert Kiyosaki wrote it,
of course.
Right, in their Rich Dad book.
Right.
But the point is, what most people are doing wrong is all they're doing really is they're going in and they're doing some work, but they're not making any progress toward a goal.
Okay.
They don't have a specific outcome that says this is considered successful.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Do you think that happens because they're doing it on their own and they don't have a team or they don't have counsel?
Of the 32 million individuals who said that they were self-employed or owned a business,
right,
only 4.6 million of 32, so what is that, like 12%?
Correct.
Were considered employer businesses. They had an employee.
Wow. Okay.
So almost everybody doesn't have an employee.
Fair enough.
Which means they're self-employed.
Right.
Right? If they don't get up and do their grind and hustle, there's no money.
Correct.
Owning a business is different. Owning a business is maybe you're the first employee, but then you strategically start adding people to your team. And they could be W-2 employees. They could be contractors. You could be like Mission Impossible. And for a different project, you pull out your dream team.
Right.
And then they kind of go back on the shelf till you need that person again. However you do it, you still have systems in place where you plug human resources, technology, money, intellectual property together to affect some outcome.
Okay.
If you're not doing that, if you're one of these people that says, I want to sit on my laptop at the beach, that's
right.
not a business, that's self-employed.
Okay, understood. Now, let me ask you this. What are some key business needs that today's entrepreneurs need? And I'm that question stems from some of the topics that you brought up from a covering your hind end.
Oh, you want me to talk about that? Okay. So, well, first of all, just because you can make money,
right,
doesn't mean that you can keep the money.
Okay.
Right? Just because you earn money doesn't mean you're running efficiently.
Got it.
And just because you are running efficiently doesn't mean you're running in accordance to the law. So the thing that I spoke about today was about the fact that there's all kinds of the government desperately wants to protect entrepreneurs because entrepreneurs create almost all the jobs and almost all the gross domestic product. 86.3% of gross domestic product and 83%. It's weird because it's 86.3 and then exactly 83 according to the last census. 83% of all new jobs were created by small companies. 86.3 of all GDP was created by small business. So the government wants you to be successful. They want you to be successful. So they give you protection in the form of corporations and LLCs, and they give you financial incentive in the form of tax deductions, tax credits, all kinds of things. And you can pay for all kinds of things that right now you may be paying for out of after-tax money, like if you're working a job, things that you are now paying for out of your after-tax money, your paycheck, you can start paying for with pre-tax money as long as it's ordinary and necessary for the business. Okay. So your internet, your cell phone, your automobile, a lot of travel, a certain amount of clothing can all come out with pre-tax as an expense.
Okay.
And as I said in my talk today, individuals get taxed and corporations take deductions. And that's how it works. And so in order to get all that benefit, there's some simple rules. And one of the biggest ones, the one I spoke about today at this conference, was making sure that you're being corporately compliant. You're doing board of directors formalities like holding regular meetings, keeping minutes, passing resolutions, issuing stock. And so many, remember I said, of the 32 million,
right,
only a small percentage have employees. And even of those that have employees, most of them don't have an outside board of directors, a secretary of the board. They're just them. They're the owner, they're the director, and they're the president, right?
That makes complete sense.
If you're the director and you're supposed to be setting the direction of the company, that means you're supposed to be having board meetings, keeping minutes of the things you talked about, writing resolutions in a formal way that say, yes, we're going to open a bank account. Yes, we're going to sign a lease. Yes, we're going to have a car allowance. Yes, we're going to have health insurance. Yes, we're going to give me a raise. Yes, we're going to, there's hundreds of things that are board things, but you're not doing them because nobody taught you to do it. They don't even teach you really at business school.
No, they don't.
No. But nevertheless, the law says if you want all those tax deductions and you want that lawsuit protection, if you're not doing those formalities, then you're treating the business not as separate.
Right.
Like here we are separate, but as your alter ego. You're not even your twin, just another representation of you. And they say if you're not acting with those formalities, you can have all those benefits stripped away that quick. And so what we want to do is make sure we're doing the simple little things like having those meetings, issuing stock, writing resolutions, so that when we are challenged in a lawsuit, in an audit, going for a contract, trying to bring in investor money,
right,
going to bankruptcy court, in all those situations, if you have followed the rules, you'll get the benefit that you are hoping for, even if it's bankruptcy protection.
Right.
And if you're not, you're screwed.
That's a lot to take in. I have one more question, but before I get to my
I don't mean to barrage you.
No, it's fine. This is extremely important. This is the value I got from sitting in the conference, and I want the people that are on my platform. There's a lot of entrepreneurs, and I know I'm not the only one doing it wrong, right?
By the way, almost everybody's doing it wrong. Anecdotal evidence tells me that over 95% of businesses are not doing this. Why? Because it doesn't make any, either, A, they've never been exposed to it.
Exactly.
And B, even if they kind of know they're supposed to do it, they're like, well, I'll figure that out later.
Yeah, just going to wing it for now.
Or it doesn't really apply to me. Why do I have to have a board meeting? I'm the only person.
Right.
I'm thinking about these things. Why do I have to have an official meeting? That's stupid, right?
That's how people think.
It seems ridiculous, but it's the law.
Until you need it.
Yeah,
until you need
it.
Now, where is a place that somebody that takes interest in this, which I hope all of you do, where's somewhere they can go to contact you? I know you have a program in place where some of these things can be ironed out. And you talked about going back a few years.
Yeah, we talked about it. So there's a thing called piercing the corporate veil. So in other words, you're not acting like a real official company because you haven't been doing these formalities. So if you have somebody that's coming after you, ideally that corporation or LLC, they should run into a brick wall. They shouldn't be able to get to it.
Correct.
Right? But because you're not doing things properly, they can get through it, and they can get all the way through it to you personally, your own estate, your house, your car, your savings, your equity, your 401k.
But I have an LLC, and they told me
matter.
that it won't impact me. Right.
It doesn't even exist. As a matter of fact, so many people are one-member LLCs. Mm-hmm. They're the only member. LLCs were designed for 2 or more people.
Okay.
Where the limited liability means my liability is limited to only what I own in here. So I can't be impacted by problems you have.
Got it.
But they're like a replacement for general partnerships.
Okay.
So if you're a one-member LLC, there is no limited liability because I'm utterly responsible.
Got it.
See what I mean?
That makes
so a lot of
sense.
people believe they're protected in a one-member LLC, and in fact, one-member LLCs are called a disregarded entity.
Oh wow. Learn something new.
Yeah,
in addition to everything else you just said.
I know a few things about this.
Yes, you do.
The point is, we think we're protected,
right?
But we're not. And so the fact is, the smart thing always is to work your strengths and hire your weaknesses and not waste time trying to figure out stuff that is not really in your wheelhouse. And so we have a program, and we have tens of thousands of clients. It's called the Corporate Veil Protection Service. In other words, how do we make that corporate veil rock solid? It's Kevlar, it's stones, it's alligators in a moat, it's everything.
Right.
Your adversary's not going to get your stuff. Right? I didn't even tell you guys today, we offer a $125,000 guarantee on that.
That's awesome.
And in all the years, we're 46 years in business.
Okay.
Over 100,000 companies we've done this for. Many of them have been sued or audited. Guess how many times their corporate veil got pierced?
How many?
0.
Love it. Results.
People come to me all the time who got their veil pierced.
Right.
And I call them event driven. I can never let that event happen to me again.
Right.
I got my backside
handed to you.
So yeah, we have a program that's do it for you. It's inexpensive. It's unlimited documents. It's terrific. And it's so good that year after year after year, we maintain, on average, 87% renewal rate.
That's huge.
So once you're in, you always stay in.
Okay.
We have people that go out of business.
Right.
And that makes up a lot of that. Or we have people that don't renew one time, and then we come back to them 10 months later and talk to them.
Right.
And guess what? They never did one thing. They thought, I figured out I can do it myself. We come back to them 10 months later, like, no, I haven't done one more document. Let me re-sign up.
It's work, and ignorance is that's not an excuse. I learned that from what you were saying earlier.
If you're great at doing something, do that. Do your superpower. Do what you're brilliant at, and don't waste time where you're worth $500 an hour for something you can get done for $20 an hour.
I would agree. Done and done. And the last question, one, how can they contact you regarding the piercing the veil?
Well, you can go to Laughlin, Laughlin, like Laughlin, LaughlinUSA.com. That's the main website. Okay. Or they can go to AaronScottYoung.com.
Fair enough.
And they can find me.
Okay.
But, we have a big team at Laughlin.
Right.
And all the information you could want, all kinds of free information, ebooks, downloads, all kinds of stuff is available on the website. Laughlin USA.
Specific to your business and protecting it, everything you need is there. Now you're a cowboy. You got horses. You got a ranch.
I'm a horseman for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
How has your sustained family life been a value add to your business growth?
Well, it's interesting. There's a pretty well-known podcast called Entrepreneur on Fire.
Okay.
And John Lee Dumas gets about 1 million downloads a month.
Wow.
On Entrepreneur on Fire. And he asked me one time, he said, is there any practice that you do every day or every week that really adds to your business success?
Right.
And I said, yeah. I go on a romantic date with my wife every week. I plan it. We have fun. We don't just go to the grocery store.
Right. That's not a date, man.
I still am courting my wife 31 years later.
Very
and
important.
She's courting me.
Okay.
Because when your family life, when your love relationships, when the things that are the drivers in your life are stable, you can focus on business.
Right.
And when you're in an argument, when your parents are sick, when there's problems out there, it's hard to focus on your business.
It is very hard.
And so the first thing I'd say is figure out a way to surround yourself with people that not only love you and support you, but to keep those relationships healthy. I was going to say intact, but not intact.
More intact,
I mean, the flourishing.
Right. Happy.
That's a big thing. I have been able to. How do I say this without saying puffed up? I don't want to sound puffed up.
I don't think you will. I have a pretty understanding audience.
For a long time, since 1996 at least. But I mean, I was a young man buying my first house. I think I was 24.
Okay.
Then I, within 1 year, moved to a bigger house. And then within a few years, moved to a much bigger house.
Right.
And then after that, built a big 7,000 square foot custom home. And I've, in Laughlin Associates, for instance, I've been there 3 days in the last 3 years.
Wow.
Okay.
That's sustained.
I went there for an hour a few weeks ago. I was coming into town to give a talk. I went in from 4 to 5. It was the first time I'd been there in 18 months. I can go live out the life that everybody kind of dreams of.
Right.
I have multiple homes in beautiful locations.
Right.
I go on multi-day horseback trips into the back where there's no cell covers, no computer. I go all over the world and give speeches and get paid a lot of money. I work with big corporations who pay me for the day. And it's all because I learned early to build a business that could operate without me having to be there to babysit it every minute. You work your butt off at first, but you try to get yourself out of startup mode. You get yourself into 1 or 2 critical employees, and then you try to get yourself out of managing everything and only managing one part. Then you get to be where you're just managing the managers.
Got it.
And eventually the goal, and this doesn't have to take 20 years, guys. You can do this if your business is valid.
Right.
If you can make sales, if you can bring money through, within 3, 4, 5 years, you can build a business where now you're just the chairman of the board.
Perfect.
You're not involved in the work product. That's how I get to live this, do the stuff I love to do.
Hard work first.
You never will get away from the hard work first.
Right.
When this company Laughlin, I bought it. It was 29 years old when I bought it. I was there 4 days a week for the first 2 years.
Okay.
I was embedded. I had to leave Portland, Oregon and go down to Nevada and live there 4 days a week with my wife and little kids at home.
Wow.
But after the first couple of years, I'd restructured the company, the culture,
right.
the team, so I could step out. And I went to 3 days a week. Then I went to 3 days every other week.
Okay.
Then I went to like 4 days once a month.
Wow.
And then it was like whenever I can get in. And now it's like, if I happen to be in town, I'll stop
right.
by for a minute.
Okay.
And it's been like that since I bought it in 2001, and I was unshackled from it by 2005.
Wow. Hard work. We talk about this all the time, ladies and gents. Hard work pays off, one foot in front of the other. There's no perfect way to do things, but there's also ignorant way that we can do things. You just got finished saying, do the thing that you're good at, and then start to build out from there. So don't be in this rush to make $1 million overnight because you're following Instagram or some social media platform. Create a business. Create the business that you want and get out of the entrepreneur mode. As long as you continue just to call yourself only an entrepreneur, you're only going to think what you think an entrepreneur is. Get some experience, get around people, get some counsel, and have a good time. But the good time might not happen the first year that you're in business.
Or the first few years. But remember this, if you stay as the most critical employee in your business, the business will never grow beyond your own experience, creativity, time. It will never get really big until you start to bring in people smarter than you to do things you're really not very good at. When I get paid $25,000 a day to go into companies like Procter & Gamble, WebMD, and other companies.
Right.
And the first question I ask that person, and often it's the CEO, I say, what are you good at? What do you suck at? And what do you not want me to know about you? Wow. Those are easy questions, but hard answers. Hard answers, man. And what you find is when somebody stays in their genius and and they surround themselves with people that are much smarter than them, which most people are terrified to be surrounded by smarter people. Of course. More capable people. But here's the thing. If you're that entrepreneurial spirit, if that's in your DNA, you're the visionary. And all these brilliant people want to follow somebody who thinks they know where they're going. So true. And they will follow you. Remember, Henry Ford, the 9th wealthiest person to walk the planet Earth, was brought by the government into court. They wanted to break up Ford Motor Company. And after days of being grilled on philosophy, on world politics, on all kinds of economic issues, he slammed his hand down on the table and he told those government bureaucrats that were coming after him, and this was his quote, he said, "I am not the smartest, but I surround myself with competent people. And if you do that, they'll follow it." I can tell you stories that would support that. Suffice to say that almost nobody has the vision. Right. They want somebody who they can follow.
Leads. They want leadership.
And then if you let brilliant people come into your sphere, into your orbit, and let them be brilliant, instead of trying to micromanage them, they will take you into a stratosphere you can't even imagine.
Levels I was just about to say that. Levels you cannot understand because it's not for you to understand. Nope. It's just for you to grow your business. Well, sir, I just want to thank you very much for taking the time to chat with everybody. I'm learning a lot. My guys and gals are learning a lot. And again, you have his company's contact information. Feel free to reach out if you have questions as I post this on different platforms. Feel free to reach out as well, and I will assist where and when I can. Again, Dom Faussette with Think, React, Lead, and we have Aaron Scott Young with many companies, exactly, and a lovely life. So once again, you guys have a good day, and we'll chat soon. All right, done.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
and how you're going to leave a legacy through forecast. I'm not saying don't address your emotions. What I'm saying is understand who you are, and if you haven't picked at the right time, you need to know when you're going to pick it. Some days you're going to wake up and you're going to be that dude.